and have to consider the alternatives, then you become more compassionate towards those who may be in a situation where it's best for either the mother or the child or both. So, in a legislative position such as that, I would hope that you could separate yourself from your feelings and judge by law and not by opinion.
Hmm. Good point. Good point, actually. So, what do you think of the abortion restrictions that Indiana Governor Mike Pence signed recently signed into law?
This is the father must give permission, is that correct? I don't I don't agree with that. Um, that the father of the child must give permission. Because again, if it's incestuous or if it's out of rape, um, certainly it would be very traumatic for the female to have to um, get that permission from that individual. Um, in other cases, it may be, in cases that are not traumatic in nature, then, and it's been determined that, the mother should not have children and, and does get pregnant, and even though knowing the dangers and accidentally gets pregnant or whatever, um, then perhaps the mother and father would discuss it. However, I don't think it's the government's right to say that the father must give permission.
What effect do you think that this could have on, like, not just the state of Indiana, but, like, all across the United States and the world, I guess?
Pence's thing?
Mm-hmm. Like, if it were to happen in, like, every state or something, or just, like, just different abortion restrictions that could, like, cause, I don't know, like, an uprising.
You have extremists, on one side or the other. And then you have those who can see both sides. And I can see both sides. However, like I said, my opinion is not black and white on this issue. And again, I think we live in a, through history, women have become stronger and more independent, and the feminist movement has made us feel like we can do anything we want. You know, who can? Nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't do. We are not necessarily considered the weaker sex any longer, and so it is. I think a step back in our progress to have to include the man um, to approve of an abortion that a woman wants.
Um,
We don't need permission, I guess I should say.
right. We don't need permission. So in that case, do you think that Roe versus Wade, like in general, was about abortion, or do you think it could be about something else?
It was in the 70s. And the 70s were a time of change. What year was it exactly?
73. I
Early
think is when it
70s.
was
Yeah, early
determined.
70s. So, it was, post Vietnam War. It was, the times they were changing. And, you know, I do feel like Roe versus Wade could have been about many things, that women wanted the right for. So, because Roe versus Wade is about abortion, it's an emotional, it's an emotional topic. It's a moral topic. It's a spiritual topic. But it could have been about many other different things that women now have the right to do that perhaps they did not have before. Like I said, with the, women can pretty much do um, whatever a man can, I suppose. And I don't mean like lift 800-pound jigs with his right arm. I just, you know what I mean? Men are the stronger sex, agreed. But women are not any dumber. They're not any less intelligent. They can pursue whatever career they want, and it's not a man's world anymore. So while Roe versus Wade was about this topic of abortion, I think it was a huge step in women's rights.
So, are you saying it has like a positive impact on women's rights?
I do.
So like, do you even think that it should be argued at all, or abortion? Like, should it even be a debate?
People will debate about anything that they judge others for. And it's unfortunate. We can't just live and let live. That we have to find something to criticize people for. And so we will debate why our point is right and why theirs is wrong, where they will debate the exact opposite. So everything is controversial.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, I think. So, if you were, like, put into a situation where you either had to have an abortion or put up a child for adoption, which direction would you go?
It would depend on the situation. Abortion would not be my first choice. While I support everyone's decision, it's my personal decision is, if the baby is going to be healthy, then...
Well, okay. Well, what if, like, a woman who is, like, 7 months pregnant, say, suffers a serious she's going to suffer a serious permanent health effect, like some sort of paralysis, if she doesn't have an abortion, but her life isn't really in danger and her baby is healthy, then should she still have the abortion? Should she still have an abortion?
No, because at 7 months, children are viable. She could have it surgically removed, and it would, with medical technology today, they would be able to keep it alive. There are babies born younger than that they can continue to be viable.
So what requirements, in your opinion, like health issues or whatever, do you think a woman should have in order for her to get an abortion?
What requirements?
Yeah, like, if there were to be requirements.
If I had to make a bullet point list, then I would say that the pregnancy came out of a traumatic experience, that the child would have serious health consequences as a result of not terminating the pregnancy, that the mother could potentially die or have other serious health risks if she kept the baby, and that this was all determined before the 3-month limit. Now, you probably want to know how in the world they could figure out if a baby is going to have something wrong.
Why, yes. I would love to know.
So, through genetic testing and through amniocentesis, they can. Well, you don't know what amniocentesis is. So they take when. So amniocentesis is where they take this really long needle and they penetrate and they can take embryonic fluid and they can check for various diseases. You know, it's known that women over the age of 40 have an increased risk of having a child who is mentally handicapped, is mentally retarded, and they do occasionally check for that. It's not required. I think it's optional and voluntary, but they can check the cells in the DNA of an embryo to determine if it is at risk for any life-threatening diseases or malformations or deformities or anything like that.
That sounds scary.
What?
Getting a needle stabbed inside of you. Sucking fluids from you to check for diseases and all that.
No, it's not bad.
No thanks. So our final question here is kind of going back to abortion laws and women's rights and all of that. So, do you think that abortion laws take away the rights of a woman?
I think the government... Okay, I'm not going there. Yes, they could put their limits on just about any part of a woman's pregnancy that they wanted to, I suppose. What she's allowed to eat, what she's allowed to drink, what is she allowed to wear, I mean, they could, micromanage, per se, this thing to death. And just picking one aspect of it is ridiculous, in my opinion. The government should foremost be concerned about its people. And for them to forbid someone from doing something that technically they could do themselves, albeit not safely, then they're just overstepping their bounds, in my opinion.
Well, thank you for the time to sit and answer my questions. It was good.
It was good. You're welcome.
Thanks, ma'am.